I think one of the persons is at work, so she may not be able to turn her camera on, but that's yes. All right. All right. So it's 12:04. We want to get started in the essence of time. We want to be mindful of everyone's time. Um, I'm Jason Murray, Mentorship Chair, Black NSA, and I'm happy to moderate today's session. We in store for a great afternoon, a great afternoon. And I'll tell you a quick story. I met Dr. Willie Jolley years and years ago down in D.C. I was a member of National Sales Network, and he was one of the key speakers there in D.C. And it was my first introduction to him many years ago. And I've seen him through the years. And then this past summer in Arizona, got a chance to see him again at our Influence Conference. And I know that he's recently launched a new book, and it's in alignment with me as being a financial advisor, not necessarily for me as an advisor, but for my clients. And great book. And again, we're in store for a great afternoon. And as each of our mentorship calls, just a rundown on how it goes. Dr. Jolley is going to share some tips and share some information about himself. And then we're going to open it up for our attendees to ask questions to Dr. Jolley. And then lastly, we like to get audience participation and just kind of highlight some of the things that resonated well with you or a testimony that can share what insights resonated with you that you can really implement in your journey as a professional speaker. So, um, without further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Willie Jolley, a Hall of Fame speaker, David Cavett Award winner, and there's no, numerous accolades that we can share, but we'll give the floor to Dr. Jolley and let him open up today's session.
Well, greetings, everybody, and thank you for that, Jason. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, we can.
Sounds is okay, because I want to make sure everybody can hear fine and dandy. So I am honored to be here and be part of this exciting event. I want to thank Lethea, the fearless leader for Black NSA, for what she has done in her career and with the organization. And then thank Jason and all the others who have joined us. And I'm yours. I'm just here to be yours for the time we've got, and you can give me whatever you want insight and mentorship on. Then I'm happy to share what I know, what I can share, and what might be of some help. Does that make sense? Is that how this supposed to work? You, Jason, you gotta tell me what the deal is,
Yeah,
because I'm here to just be of service,
yeah.
whatever way I can.
Yeah, so usually, and what would be helpful, you've had an illustrious career, it's still ongoing, and we want to be able to benefit from a bit of your journey. So you have
Okay.
some attendees here who may be aspiring speakers, some who've been in the business and are seasoned. However,
Hmm.
we can always learn. All right. So you
Yes.
can briefly just share three tips or three insights that you feel can be helpful for our audience as they embark on their journey. Whatever, like I said, we have different ranges of speakers here. So just some three
But
tips.
I think what then makes, yeah, go ahead, Lethea.
Real quick, one of the things adding to what Jason said, I find it usually helpful if you just tell your story so we know your journey
That's what I was
and
getting ready to do, because yeah,
and
I was
then
getting ready to say
share
it exactly
the
right.
three tips. Yep. All right.
Yeah, that exactly what I was thinking the same before I said tips. You probably want to know how I even got to a point where I could share any tips. So a guy who was a nightclub singer and made my living singing in nightclubs. I'm a try a couple times during this to see if y'all can see my wall here. Up there in that left corner are some awards. Those are called Whammy Awards. By the way, right next to that is the Cavett Award. We'll get back to that. But those awards are Washington Area Music Association awards, like the Grammy, but the Whammy, they call it the Whammy, and it's the highest award in the Washington area for people in music. I was a nightclub singer, and I won that award 5 years in a row for Best Jazz Singer. And back in the 1980s, I had grown up in Washington, had gone to American University. I put myself through school and grad school. I went to Wesley Seminary, both school, undergrad and grad school, a lot with my music business. I was a jingle singer. I did jingle during the day, but I made my living primarily singing in nightclubs at night. And won those awards, Best Jazz Singer, 5 times in a row, Best Entertainer, Best Performer. Things were going great. One night I went into the nightclub. The club manager said, "We got to talk to you after the night show." I said, "Okay, great." I tell the guys in the band they want to talk. We've been selling out for months. We got standing room only audiences. Well, I've won all the awards. We about to get our raise. And I walked in his office and he said, "We love you guys, but we're going to make a change." I mean, what? What do you mean with me? We found there's something else going around the country. There's a new thing called karaoke that's filling up nightclubs, and the owners of the club had decided to go with this new direction because it's a lot cheaper than live entertainment and it's a better return on investment. And I said, but what about my bills? And as I say in my speech, and I realized at that moment that nobody cared about your bills but you and the people you owe. Am I right about it? And I went home and I told my wife, I got to do something else. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I got to do something else. I took a job while I was trying to figure out what my something else was to help pay the bills. I took a job as my first job was a counselor for Black male students at Montgomery College, which was in Montgomery County, Maryland, which was right outside of DC, suburb. They were having a problem males graduating, and they asked me to come and help. My cousin worked there, and he introduced me to the director of the program. And I worked for that semester, talking to the young men, encouraging them to finish. And so at the end of the semester, they had the highest rate of graduates they'd ever had. And so they said, "You've obviously touched them in a way that they hadn't been touched before. We want to do a luncheon to celebrate their success." And the director looked at me and said, "We need a speaker. And you got a degree in theology. Obviously you know something about preaching or speaking or something." And I said, "No, I only went for the academic interest. I have no. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a. I know I can't. I don't know nothing about speaking." I said, "I'm a singer." He said, "Well, you got more than I got. That's gonna be your job." So that luncheon, I had to get up and say something. I wrote a little speech, and I didn't know if I could speak or not, but I knew I could sing. So I spoke about 10 minutes, and then I sang that inspirational. And people went nuts. I mean, they loved this. And people came up and asked for my notes and all of that. And I said, wow. Well, soon thereafter, I got another call from the Washington, D.C. public school system because they were looking for a director of their drug prevention and education program called Positive Images, working with young high school students to do skits and music and entertainment to try and dissuade young people to, to stay away from drugs. And so, took the job, and that was in June of 1990. June the 1st, actually, I started the job. And worked with the high school students all summer. It was very successful. We went to rec centers and playgrounds, and we put on these skits, kind of like, if you remember in Living Color, they would have the Homeboy Network and all that kind of stuff. We had all these plays with the kids, and they were very talented young people. And music and dance and drama and all of the. Well, the end of that summer, it was only supposed to be a summer program, but the director said, we'd like you to stay on. I said, well, what am I going to do? The kids are going to be in school in the fall. We wouldn't be able to do that. He said, well, we're working on some other things. Part of this other thing they were working on was bringing in Toastmasters to work with all of the prevention coordinators. And I moved from being the director of that program to a drug prevention coordinator citywide. And there were a few others of us in that office who did the same thing. And we were to go to schools and try and positively impact and inspire and encourage young people to stay away from drugs. This is during the height of the crack cocaine epidemic, by the way. And so the Toastmasters, they said, we're going to bring in Toastmasters to give us their program called Speech Crafters. Well, I'm a man of faith. That's where I know the Lord was working, because I had no speaking, just not afraid to be on stage because of my singing career. And so I took the Toastmasters course. It's an 8-week course. They come in once a week. And by about the 5th week, the teacher get up and give you a tabletop talk and tabletop topics talk and all of that. And by the 5th week, the director came to me one day and said, you know what, Willie Jolley, you could do this. I said, what, teacher's course? He said, no, you could do this speaking thing. You're really good. I said, really? He said, yeah. So by the 6th, 7th, 8th week, by the time it was over, he had really encouraged me doing it. So as part of my job, I started giving speeches. First to little elementary school kids, then that went well. The principals would call their friends at junior high, said, you got to get this guy, he's good. And I go to junior high, then the junior high, they called it high school. And I went to high school. So I was doing all the schools all over DC, elementary, junior high, high school. There are hundreds of schools in DC. And then I started getting calls from Prince George's County, and Alexandria, Virginia, Arlington, Virginia, and Montgomery County, Maryland. And I started getting calls from other schools because the friends would call their friends, and the principals and teachers would say, this guy is good, you should get him. He really impacted the kids. And then I started getting more and more invitations. Yeah, it was time for me to leave. I was getting so many invitations that it was almost impossible to continue to do my job. So I quit May the 30th, 21, and became a full-time speaker June the 1st, 1991, not 2021, 1991. And I've never looked back. So I started with schools, and I did locally schools in the area. I got a contract with Montgomery County Schools, a contract with Arlington County Schools, a contract with Prince George's County Schools. I did that for about 4 or 5 years doing on youth. Then I expanded to educators and in-service programs. And then I expanded from there to colleges. I did colleges for a year. And then I expanded from colleges. Let me stop for colleges for a second, tell you a quick story. When I wanted to get in colleges, there's an organization called NACA. And there's all the college student activities directors who choose the speakers who are coming in. And they were having their big convention in Nashville, Tennessee. And I had been there in Nashville that week because I had a contract with the Metro County schools to speak for them every year for all their schools. They'd bring me in for a week, and I would driven around by the DARE officers from school to school. Well, just so happened that the conference was going to be at the Gaylord in Nashville the same week I was going to be there speaking. So at the end of my week of speaking there, I went over to the Gaylord, no registration, no nothing, but I want to get in the college market. And a friend of mine named Marlon Smith was attending that. I didn't have no money to pay for registration. Couldn't afford a hotel room because the school system put up my help, but this was on my dime. So I called Marlon and he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be there." I said, "Can I kind of bum in your room and I'll sleep on the floor?" He said, "No, I got an extra bed. You can sleep in the extra bed." I said, "Cool." And then the next morning I went convention hall. I got no registration, but I got the ugly little flyers. They had the ugliest little flyer, but they got my name and speaker. And I stood outside the registration and said, "You ever need a speaker? Ever need a speaker? Ever need a speaker? Ever?" I'm giving these things. Marlon comes over to me and said, "Man, what are you doing? Man, you can't do that." I said, "Why not?" He says, "Embarrassing. You're embarrassing me." Okay. He walked away. I said, "I need a speaker. I need a speaker. I need a speaker." Just so happened. I'm giving you this because this is a story about hustle. The thing that had been my name is hustle. One of the people I gave that flyer to was a guy who was the president of a college speakers bureau called Group H. And he said, "I saw your little flyer and I was impressed by the fact that you were willing to stand out here and hustle." He said, "Why don't you come on into the convention as my guest? Come on with me." And he said, "Also, I want to hear what you got to do. I'd like to hear you speak sometime. Can we arrange that?" I had a little videotape or something. I sent it to him, and he booked me. He became my college speakers agent. And that one year I was in colleges, he was booking me a lot. So I moved from colleges to credit unions. All the state credit union chapters, each state has a credit union system, and they have an annual meeting. And I'd asked the one I did, "Hey, can you get the list?" And I'd call them. I just did New Hampshire. I just did New York. I'd love to come and speak for you. And I started doing all of the credit unions. Did that for another year. After another year of doing that, then next there was a guy named Keith Harrell. Some of you may have heard his name. Keith Harrell. I got it. I'm sending it to you. I'm texting it to you. Excuse me, my boss has something I got to send to her. Okay, there you go. Here you go. Boom. Okay, boss. There you go. I just sent it to you. So Dee says hello, everybody. She says hi. Okay. So Keith Harrell he wrote the book Attitude is Everything, and we were best buds. And he was corporate market when I was still in the school and college market. And he called me one day and said, "I just spoke for Marriott in called the Marriott East New York Marriott. And they have some real serious issues with customer service and attitude and morale. And they're bringing in a speaker a month to help the culture. And I know this is not what you've done, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to get in front of these Marriott people." And he helped me up to get me in that Marriott. And I spoke and it went well. And the general manager said, "I'm going to give you some more Marriott people." And then I moved to corporate and I started doing corporations. And for a couple of years, I was doing about a couple hundred Marriotts every year. I was just doing Marriott after Marriott. I became a secret shopper for Marriott and would go in on maybe at midnight on all dressed like a bum with a warm-up suit and unshaven, and I'd see how they treated me when I knew that their room service was closed, but I was starving. I'd say, I'm starving. Can you get me some food? And I'd see whether they would make it happen or not, what kind of service they had. And I'd take notes all day long about the people at breakfast, who spoke, who didn't. But everybody was pretty much nice. And I'd go to these places, but then the next day at 3 o'clock between the morning shift and the night shift, we'd do an all hands rally. And then I'd have shaved, cleaned suit and say, I met so-and-so, and they gave me some food. And I met so-and-so, and it was tremendous. And the general manager started calling each other, and it just grew. Oh, I've skipped one session. That in 1991, I started speaking. In 1992, July of 1992. Now, I'm remember 1991, I'm only speaking as kids, youth. Schools in June. So I got no speeches after the school's in. So what do? I start calling. I was in the music business. There used to be agents that hired me. I looked for speaker talent agents, and it led me to speaker in the Yellow Pages. Some of y'all don't know what a Yellow Page is. There were no computers back then. This is Yellow Pages. I look up Yellow Pages, speaker bureau. I call a speakers bureau and I say, I'm a speaker. I speak to kids. Can you book me? Speaker bureaus don't book kids, but I didn't know that. And the lady knew I didn't know what I didn't know. She said, for the National Speakers Association. Or have you ever heard of them? I said, you mean there are other people who do this? I said, yeah. She said, yeah, other people. There's an organization called the National Speakers Association, and you should call them. And I happen to have their number, and I'll never forget it. 484. It was the old area code, but 968-2552. 480-968-2552. And I called them. I want to be part of what you do. I want to be in the speaking business. And they said you help speakers grow their business. And the lady said, I'll send you a packet. And what's your address? And she was about to hang up. And then she said one more thing. I'm so glad she said it. She said, oh, before you hang up, you should know the local president of the DC chapter. His name is David Yoho. I said, David, okay. And here's his number. Hung up with her, called his number, went to a voicemail. That night, about 9 o'clock, he calls me back. He said, this is David Yoho. I try and make my calls before the day is over. And I got your message. You want to be a speaker, or you kind of been what? Tell me a little more about what you're doing. I said, well, I speak to kids, and I talk about drug prevention and da 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 da. And so, okay. And he was almost about to blow me off, but then he said, how much have you spoken? I said, let's see. This last year, I spoke every day except Thanksgiving and Christmas. Most days I spoke between 2 and 3 times a day. So I guess I've given 300 speeches this year. He said, what? You've given 300 speeches in a year? Oh, you're a speaker. You need to come to our convention. I said, okay, where is your convention? He said, when is your convention? He said, in 2 weeks. The date where I talked to him was July the 8th. I'm going to make that clear in a moment. July the 8th. And he said, it's in 2 weeks. It's in Orlando, Florida. And you need to come. And I went and talked to my wife, and I said, I just talked to a guy who says there's this convention of speakers. And he says I need to come to that convention. But we don't have the money to go. And we don't have the money for registration. And my wife and I sat there and we said, we only got one pot of money, which we have been saving all year long for my son's private school, Christian school tuition. And she said, you know what? It sounds like you really need to go to this. What do you say about us tapping that? And she said, I said, yeah, and we'll work to make it up somehow, some way. And I tapped that money. I mean, we tapped that money. I got a last minute plane ticket, and I called David Yoho back the next day and said, I'm coming. It's been a struggle, but I'm coming. He said, because of your commitment to come, do you have a hotel? I said, no, the hotel was all full when I called. He said, you can stay in my room. I got you. And I stayed in his room. I went to that convention, Orlando, Florida. First NSA, 1992. There were about 4 Black people there. 5. I can think of 5. Me, Keith Harrell, Desi Williamson. No, 6. Marlon Smith, Thelma Wells, and Hattie Hill Stewart.
Sorry.
Oh, hello, Mr. Police. I'm on a Zoom call. Oh, well, it's on your phone. It's on the phone. Here, here.
We got a free tour of the beautiful home. So
Thank you. Excuse me, folks. Let's see. Ring camera. Okay.
So while we're waiting for Willie to come back, I want you to put one thing in the chat that so far has really inspired you. And I put the item that that really inspired me listening to his story was just this idea of not letting the lack of funds stop you from pursuing your dreams. I don't care what level you are in your business. You're going to need funds to get to that next level. And sometimes that next level might be a $15,000 investment in your demo video. And you may say, wow, I don't have that right now. But how do you still pursue the dream of having that next level demo video without the funds that you know you need? Like, moving forward, I've had people do very creative things to get past the lack of funding that they need in their business. And so that was something that inspired me. So I'd love to hear what your yes, what your ahas and takeaways are. Thank you so much for sharing.
I'm
Willie,
sorry.
that's
I
okay.
live in a,
We got you.
we got that would we got the detectives came in because someone in the neighborhood did something bad, and I live in a city in Washington D.C. We love our area, but we got some I don't know, maybe everywhere don't have a couple knuckleheads, but we got a couple knuckleheads there, and they want to see the camera to see who had maybe done something that wasn't right. So y'all see, I'm still in the hood. Okay, I'm in the hood. It's a nice hood, but it's still upper northwest Washington D.C. But there, well, and I'll take a moment there. The mayor has put affordable in every community, and as a result of that, this was an upper middle class. But there's a home that we had that they tore down, a beautiful big home, and built this affordable housing unit, and it came with some challenges. And we want to be, good neighbors and help them, but we also want to make sure they do the right thing. So, okay, NSA joined 1992. Let me stay. It changed my life, and let me tell you the rest of the story. I learned in those 4 days how to grow a business, and I came back and did what they taught me. And within a month, I had gotten enough money to repay what I had borrowed from my son's tuition, and went to school with his full tuition paid that year because of NSA. I have, just for the record, I have never missed a convention in 34 years because of the impact those conventions have had on my life. At this point, I go now to see my friends, but I always go with one goal, to get one idea, just one good idea, learn one new thing. So colleges. Keith Harold gets me into the Marriotts. I get going. I start doing more and more stuff. One day, Les Brown hears about this guy who's a speaker and a singer, and he contacts me and says, I'm doing a tour and I need an opening act who can speak and sing. And we're doing something called the Music and Motivation Dream Team Tour. And we've been looking for someone who could do both speaking and singing, because the tour is composed of me, Gladys Knight, Billy Preston, and we need an opening act that can wow people. And I've heard you're good. And they chose me for the tour. Les and Gladys introduced me to some radio people. I got a little radio show. It got syndicated. You can now hear me in 49 Markers Daily on Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell on the Praise Network every morning at 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central. That led to Sirius XM, and I've been on Sirius XM now. This is my 20th season, and I'm honored to say I have the #1 self-help show in the country. That led to podcasts, iHeart calling and saying, we see you doing great interviews with big shots like David Rubenstein, Bill Marriott, Bob Johnson, America's first Black billionaire, David Stewart, America's wealthiest Black man, Sheila Johnson, the co-founder of Netflix, John Maxwell, T.D. Jakes. When somebody, General Colin Powell, when somebody has a book come out, A-lister, I typically get a call from their publisher saying, we want to have him on your or her on your show. The show is now the #1 self-help show in the country. One day a book publisher calls and says, I've been listening to you on the radio. Have you ever thought about writing a book? I said, tell me more. I wrote a book called It Only Takes a Minute, Change a Life. Became my first bestseller, national. Then a setback set up for a comeback, became a global bestseller. Then turned setbacks into greenbacks, became a bestseller. Then An Attitude of Excellence became a bestseller. Then my wife and I wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, a marriage book. That's a bestseller. And this is my new book. Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. It's not officially out yet, but y'all can get it because we got the pre-release copies that are out now, the first edition. I don't want them to be on Amazon because I want my friends and people in our network to be able to say, I got a first edition, collector's edition copy of the book. There you go. Jason got his copy already. Thank you, Jason. And so the book is just flying off, and it's the result of my 20 years on XM and interviewing these titans in business. And as y'all remember, there's a book called Think and Grow Rich that was the result of a writer being given access by Andrew Carnegie, named Napoleon Hill. A writer named Napoleon Hill was given access to the titans of business in the 1920s, Edison, Ford, and DuPont. And he got all of those interviews and wrote a book that became the biggest selling book in history other than the Bible for wealth creation. Well, some are calling this the sequel, Grow Rich, because for the last 20 years, I've interviewed the titans of business in this time, and I've put it all together as to what is rich, what is wealthy, and how you can create it. So, by the way, y'all can get that at richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. That's the only place you can get it, on my website, richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. Or you can come to DC like Jason did and come to my office. And anyway, speaking at NSA, started working with NSA, things started happening. 1999, I'm named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by Toastmasters. 2005, I got CPAE, Speaker Hall of Fame. And somewhere in there, I got my CSP. And then 2013, I'm named Legend of the Speaking Industry. And as many of you might know, in 2023, I got the Cavett. Yay, I got the Cavett Award. It is in my office. And I'm so honored. And I'm the first African-American man to get the Cavett. Lenora is the first African-American woman. And last, but I guess one more thing about it, I was the first president of the DC chapter, Black president of the DC chapter of NSA DC back in 1995. And then I was the first African-American elected to the board of directors. And then Lenora was appointed. I was elected They used to do real elections where you go and do a ballot on Sundays. And I was elected as the first African American to be elected to NSA National Board. So that's my story, I guess. And I want to help y'all grow your business. Does that make sense? Did everybody get something out of that? You got any questions? Anything I left out, you can get later. I want to get to your issues and how I can help you. What is it that, you asked now, Jason, the three.
Yeah, 3 tips or 3 insights that you would recommend that either aspiring or seasoned speaker should really implement to grow their business.
Okay, first of all, NSA. Say that not strong enough. Be involved with the National Speakers Association because it's different. Now it's different. It's even more different now than it was when I joined because Cabot was around, and Cabot was a friend. I became friends with Cabot. Cabot was a unique man. Really was a unique man who really wanted you to thrive and succeed. And Cabot pushed everybody to help everybody. And so the first time I came to NSA, people would give me names of agents. And I came from the music business. Nobody gave you anything. Everybody was holding back. But these people are giving you names of bureaus and names of people to put and clients. What? I never heard of such. So NSA is the most unique organization where they really want you to succeed. And how can I help you succeed? That's first. Be involved heavy and say locally on your local chapter and the national. Number 2 is visibility. Work on your visibility all the time. How can I get my name out? Whether you're doing nowadays a podcast, there was no such thing as podcast then. But the more visibility, there was no internet. Remember, I've been around since there was no such thing as the internet. Get your marketing out, your content out, get your visibility. So make sure you're NSA and then visibility. And constantly invest in making sure that your materials and your website and your programs are the best you can afford. Even if you got to push it a little while, make your materials the best you can, because that will have a great impact. Okay, so those are 3 ideas. I probably got more, but I want y'all to ask. I want to help y'all. Tell me what you're struggling with, what you need help with. What can I do to help you? What can I do to be a blessing to you? That's why I'm here today.
Dr. Jolley, I've got a question for you.
Please.
So I've been speaking for 30 years, but in corporate. So a year ago, I left corporate, as you know, transitioned into being a full-time speaker. And so I've gotten a business coach in our joint friend, Ed Robinson, who has changed my life entirely.
Great.
But I'm still new to being a full-time speaker. I've got all the assets, everything ready to go. As the new person, what would you recommend 1 or 2 things that has to happen today to be successful?
I have people who come to me and said, I want to be a speaker, who have, a background like yourself. One lady was a television anchor who retired from the CBS affiliate here in DC. And she came and said, I want to be a speaker. And I said, okay, here's what you do. Go to NSA. And 2, I want you to tell everybody in your network that you are now speaking. It sounds so simple. I want you to tell everybody, your cousins, your friends, your neighbors, everybody you got in your network, you're doing speaking. And she said, what do you think? I said, just do that. That's easy marketing. Just don't cost you nothing. Just tell everybody. He came back to me like a month later and said, my schedule is booked solid. It's amazing how many people called and said, oh, I need a speaker for this. I need a speaker for that. And so even though, Roderick, you've been speaking a long time, It's still tell everybody. There are opportunities that are in your backyard that people might not know what you do. And then continue to work on what your speaking brand is. You want to create a brand. Now, the word brand is something that we hear now. It's a new word because 30 years ago, when I got started, no one ever used the word brand. They said, "What's your reputation in the marketplace?" And what you want to do is your brand is the little bit of real estate you own in somebody's brain. So when they think of X or Y, they think of you. Bill Cates, CSP, CPAE, my dear friend, who was on my XM show last week, has a new book called The Hidden Heist that is blowing up. He's the referral coach in the financial industry. When you think of referrals, you think of Bill Cates. Brian Tracy, the sales gold guru. Zig Ziglar, see at the top. What area of somebody's brain can you own? And that's what you want to start beating that drum. One of the recommendations I encourage people not to do is be a speaker for everybody for everything. That's like a death knell. Can't be an expert on everything. And when people say, I usually know the new speakers when they come in, I say, "What do you speak about?" "Well, I can speak about anything." I say, "Okay, they ain't gonna be around long. They're gonna be gone soon." I already know. So find your area of expertise and beat that drum, beat that drum, beat it. Tell your cousins, your friends, your coworkers, get materials out in the marketplace, to go to Chamber of Commerce meetings. Here's what I do, and be very clear. I hope that helps, Roderick.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Jolley. And I put it
All
in
right.
the chat, but I also wanted to say it to you, and I know I've said it before. Thank you for the shoulders that we all stand on. We
Oh,
truly
my pleasure.
appreciate it and you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. I'm very grateful. I'm really, really grateful to be able to have been at NSA when there was no Black NSA. I was at the first Black NSA meeting at Thelma Wells House in 1994. By that time, we had grown from maybe 5, 6 Black folks at the convention to maybe 20. And we had fried chicken, collard greens, and potato salad at Thelma's house. And it was wonderful. But we've really seen such a change over the years. But one thing about NSA, when I came, that Thelma said to me, she said, "You've got to trust the process and trust these folks, because they really do want to help you." Because I'm seeing all these white folks. Some of them from the South, and they got deep Southern drawls. And how y'all doing? I'm very, I'm scared. And yet I listened to Thelma, and she was right. And some of those same people were instrumental in me getting on the board. They were instrumental in me getting some of the accolades and places that I hadn't gotten to before. So I'm very grateful. So trust that process and trust that these folks really do want you to succeed. And I want you to succeed. Okay, I want you to succeed.
Yeah, Dr. Jolley, I had a question. I'm I'm a licensed financial advisor, and I've written books on entrepreneurship, and I want to empower the next generation of entrepreneurs through my speaking. And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned in terms of like the youth market or the college market, how would
Mm-hmm.
you best say is my best way of positioning myself to attack that market as well, the youth and the college market, to empower the next generation of entrepreneurs?
I think that's a great question. I would probably say for you, the youth market would be a hard push, a heavy lift, because their needs are so much different than college needs. But that college market could be a great place. I would say you might look into NACA. Look into NACA and see if they have any programming for financial literacy. I also would call your local colleges in your backyard and tell them what you do. I understand college fees are not going to be that much, but that's not how you make your living. You make your living doing it. This is your way of starting something. And last but not least, I'm going to tell you one more thing that everybody should be mindful of. That you could look at potentially doing something I've had success in, and that's sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Sponsors have had a great impact on my business, both on my media business as well as on my speaking business. I've had sponsors speak. I've had sponsors sponsor me to speak at schools, um, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, um, Papa John's, Domino's Pizza, McDonald's. Sponsor me to go to schools and do tours. I had Mystic Soft Drink do. They did 30 events, 5 cities. So that's another way to get in there. Okay, I hope that helps.
Yes.
All right, Jasmine.
Hi, Dr. Jolley.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. First, I just want to say thank you for all you do. And then second, I just want to say this. I love your last name. It gives me joy. Anytime I see a Joy within the Jolley, I feel the joy. I'm here for
Bless
it.
your heart. Thank you. My dad used to say jolly and name and nature, but always do that. So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. So you got my wheels turning. I'm jazzed. And I wanted to ask you, so I have a lot of different gifts that I bring in a marketplace. So
Yes.
one of them, of course, is speaking, but within the
Yes.
speaking umbrella, I do acting as well. And I love your strategy that you gave to Roderick in regards to like telling everybody what you do. Um,
Yes.
I think for me, when I'm positioning myself to telling everyone what I do, it comes across like, oh, Jasmine is just like the star. But I want to be able to have them as, you know what, she's your go-to for the speaker, like not just on screen, but also as a speaker. So I'm kind of starting back over because I'm kind of in a caregiving mode right now and I'm trying to get myself
Yes.
back out. So how do you recommend me using platforms like social media, or any platform to let the people know? It might be basic where it's just like touching people, but what does Dr. Jolley
You
suggest?
know, I think what you do, and I think social media is a great way to establish your brand. There was a guy who came to my office yesterday. My nephew manages him. His name is MB, NK, Nib. He has 8 million followers on social media. And what he does, he's not really a speaker per se. He is a doer, a giver. So I learned from him that how important it is to do something that speaks to what you do. And I mean, and really, I want to say for you, Jasmine, is not all of the activity, but the end result. So you're a speaker, you're an actress. What's the end result of your work? And it's to inspire people or to motivate people or to empower people. Whatever it is that you are doing, something that you use to have different delivery skills to be able to get to that.
Uh-oh, you're on mute, Dr. Jolley.
I have my little thing. So you got different delivery skills to get to that end result.
Mhm.
Don't focus so much on the delivery. Focus on the end result. Here's how I like to say it. If I asked all of you, would like a trip to Bahamas? Yeah, I'm good with that. Now I didn't tell you how you're gonna get there. I didn't tell you whether you're gonna fly, whether you're gonna go with a cruise, whether you're gonna go in a rowboat or a raft. I didn't tell you how. I said, would you want it? Yes, because you want the end result. So don't focus on the delivery system. Focus on the end result. When you do that, people will say, "Yeah, I want that. I want that end result." And then you bring your unique gifts to get there. And so I bring my unique gifts. I started with speaking and then singing and then radio and then books and then podcasts, but it all to one end result. My mission statement to inspire a generation to rise above their circumstances and maximize their God given ability. That's in my office. I read it every day. I know my mission is clear. How do I get there? Every which way I can. Okay, but those are just the delivery systems. The key is I
Thank
stay focused on the end. Okay, that makes sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love your smile. You say you love my name. I have always, every time I see you with that big smile, I just love you and that positive smile. Okay, my sister Lethea.
Hey, Dr. Jolley, I will never forget the words you shared with Andre and I when we came, probably 18 years ago and spent the weekend with you and Dee just to learn how to do this thing. We, just so enjoyed your mentorship and your wisdom. And you said to us that success is better together. And I've taken that,
Yep.
in relationship to my marriage. And I've also used that in our organizational development of Black NSA. My question for you is, Dr. Jolley, having seen all that you've seen and understanding the importance of networking and supporting one another, what are some of the things you would encourage us as an organization, Black NSA, to stay focused on as we continue to prepare for the future?
Oh, that's a great question. And you're right. You came and your husband came to my speaker boot camp. I used to do one every year. And that was the result of people. My books hit the first time, hit the bestseller list. People would say, "Could I take you to lunch?" And I'd always say, "Yeah, I'll go and help with anyone I could." And then my schedule got so busy, I couldn't do lunch anymore. And then I said, "Okay, let's do a lunch and learn." We were a group of people, and that got overwhelmed. So then we decided to just have a weekend where people could come. We called it Speaker Boot Camp. I probably need to do another one sometime in my life, but because there's so many people who have come out of that who've done well. Cheryl Wood, one of my, Della Toro, Lethea, so many have come out of that. And I'm grateful for Lethea and her husband. So success is better together. If you can stay together, that's what we want to help you do. Because, Dee and I are big on that. But second, what would help NSA, Black NSA? Let me tell you something about that. That's a great question. I've been here through the whole journey. Make sure that Black NSA that you share with the people in general and NSA normal, big group, non-Black, why we do this. Very important because they sometimes feel excluded. And I've had people come up to me and say, "Why do we have to have a Black NSA? We don't treat everybody well." I said, no. I explained to them that we all know that, or who've been around a long, that 30% of the people who come a first time are never going to come back again. And so but the percentage for Black people is higher. And so we really need to have a Black incubator to keep these people from falling off. And that's what I want NSA, Black NSA, to be focused on, that we have an incubator where we can do the extra. Because like we saw through the George Floyd, that George Floyd time was so profound because I'll never forget, we had a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and it was myself, Lenora, Simon, Dell, I think Walter was there. And they had never heard the talk we have to have about our children. They had no idea. What do you mean to talk? How many of y'all have to have a talk with your children, your son or your daughter, when they get pulled over, what to do? They had never heard about that. And people were in tears. People were in tears. It was a powerful moment. And so letting them know that there are certain struggles, like, I'll give you one that they have never experienced. A meeting planner says to me, "Hey, I'm talking on the phone. I'd love to bring you in, but I can't bring you in this year because we had a Black speaker last year and they didn't do very well. So I can't bring you in this year." And this is a Black meeting planner. My response was, well, you ever had a white speaker who didn't do well? Did you bring another white speaker in the next year? They said, yes. I said, well, why would you subjugate us to that kind of scrutiny? I had nothing to do with that speaker last year. So that's one of the reasons why when I go in to a place, I always try and wow them. Because I want to make sure that the door doesn't get closed for the next one. And I recommend somebody. I might recommend Dell or say, you got to see Della Toro or Walter or Simon. And Keith and I used to do that all the time. As I already told you, he got me in corporate America. So be good, be great when you get your opportunity, because you're not representing just yourself. There are people who going just by the nature of how people think, going to say, well, we had a black speaker last year. They didn't do that great. Be great. Be the best you can be. All right. Hope that helps, Lethea. Aaliyah, is that correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Hey, Aaliyah.
Hello. I wanted to ask you one second a question. So looking back to when you were speaking for free, right? What do you wish you knew about positioning, pricing, or even owning your value? Because I'm at a turning point now where I've been speaking for free. So I would just love to understand your guidance on shifting into like becoming a paid speaker with intention.
Okay, let me make sure I heard you. What would I say about your value that will allow you to get paid? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. One, as I told you, tell everybody you know, lottie dottie everybody, that you speaking now. Two, do these speeches as you can. Record it on your phone, by the way. Everybody record every speech on your phone. You got a thing on your phone where you record record it. Listen back what you did well, what you did that we can improve on. And then when people start to ask you, what's your fee? When you're new and you don't have a fee, here's your response. What's your budget? Okay. And ask them what their budget is, and get in the habit of asking about the budget sooner rather than later. I tell people Toastmasters teaches you how to speak, NSA teaches you how to get paid to speak. Mm-hmm. So you want to get paid to speak. And the secret to doing that is to ask, well, what's your budget? Mm-hmm. Now, but the more you out there, and if they say they don't have a budget, get what you can. In other words, this morning I went to a gym and I worked out, and it's the top gym in the area. There are 4 or 5 of them in the area, and they're the top of the line. I've been having a relationship with this gym, going to this gym for 20 years. I've never paid a gym fee. They called me one day. They said, we would like you to speak to our managers. We don't have your fee. I said, I go to the gym. We worked out a deal. My wife and I got premier gym membership and go to the gym as part of a deal. So if you can't get money, get printing, get gym, get your car fixed. I don't care what you do. Get something in exchange for that what you do. But go back to what I said to Roderick. Talk to everybody, tell them what you do, tell everybody you know. And then once you start doing it, bring up, I have a fee. And they say, what's your fee? And you say, what's your budget? Before you tell them your fee, remember this old line: he who speaks first loses. Mm-hmm. Okay, he who speaks first about money loses. In other words, if you say my fee is $500, they were thinking 1,000. Okay, they had a budget of 1,000, so you just lost $500. So let them speak the figure first. So you say, I have a fee to speak. Okay, what's your fee? Well, what's your budget? Okay, and then get them to speak first, and then take what they got. Okay, at the early stages, take what they got to work with. Okay, That's what I recommend.
Thank you.
I hope that helps. Where do you live, Aaliyah?
I'm in Dallas.
Glad to have you. And I hope to see you at NSA Influence.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right. Any
Any more questions? Any more questions, anyone? I'm sure there a few of you have questions. Just raise your hand or ask.
Let me take a moment to talk about books.
Okay.
Just for a moment. Books are a great tool to get your name out into the marketplace. And if you got a speech, you got a book. And in time of AI, you can have your speech transcribed and put in the book form. And even if it's an ebook, I recommend a book. Tell what your message is, your content, even if it's an ebook, and then give it away if you got it. It's a marketing tool. Some people give away their books as a business card. So I highly recommend books. What else do I recommend? So, you're going to get some people who about speakers bureaus. I had somebody call the other day about speakers bureaus. And let me tell you what I told them, and I tell everybody about speakers bureaus. Write this one down. A speakers bureau don't need you till you don't need them. Let me say that again. A speakers bureau does not need you till you do not need them. You build your brand and start taking business from them. You'll hear from them. Now, I had somebody call me and say, well, I want the speakers bureau to market me. Well, you got to understand how a speakers bureau works. How many of y'all ever been to a stable, a horse stable? Anybody? Yeah, okay. You go to the stable and you want to you want to do a horse riding experience. First thing they ask you, number one question, do you want it for an hour, half day, or a day? And you say half day. At that point, they know your budget, how much you're willing to spend. The next question is, do you want a fast horse, a medium horse, or a slow horse? And he said, I want a medium horse. Great. They take you to a corral, and there are 100 horses in there running around. And they say, choose whichever one you like. They don't really care which one you choose, because they're going to get the same amount of money, 25 or 30% of that choice for your riding that horse. You are just the horse. I am just the horse. Unless you're a celebrity. I got a little celebrity, but I'm still just a horse. And I know when the client calls and says, I need a motivational speaker who has some name recognition, who maybe have a couple best-selling books, who's high energy, and maybe is somewhat entertaining, I'm gonna be put in that corral of horses that they send videos to that client. And the client's gonna choose one of them. They might send 10. And the client will choose one. The bureau don't really care which one they choose. They're gonna get the same amount of money from me or whoever else that fits that description. So focus on your brand, build your brand, start taking business from them, and you will get more mileage than trying to focus on getting with a speaker bureau. They got 4,000, 5,000 names. Unless you're got a hot book, hot television, radio show, or you did something in the market. When Keith Harrell got an article in the Wall Street Journal that exploded his speaking career. He was in the Wall Street Journal about the speaker with the golden, I think it was like the speaker with the golden speech or something like that. He had so many speeches he couldn't do them all. He was getting 200 corporate speeches a year. So, but remember, he was single. He had no children. Oh, and one more thing I got to tell you. I'm glad, going back to Lethea. It's better together. It's also better when you can stay healthy and keep your family healthy. I have told many speakers over the years, focus on your family first and speaking second. I say the speaking business is like a man juggling balls. Now, all the balls are rubber except one, and that's crystal, glass. That's your family. If you drop one of the rubber balls, you have a bad speech or economy gets bad, it'll bounce back. But that family ball, and I've had speakers who divorced because they didn't focus, and I told them, focus on your family first. So I'm very grateful. Dee and I have been married 40 years. And she runs my company, but she's my priority. So tonight at 7 o'clock, we got our weekly date night. Now, we've been married 40 years. We still have a weekly date night. And we've been doing that for 40 years. She's my priority. So, Linda, or is it Linda? Miss Reese?
Linda. Yes.
Linda, yes. Hey, Linda. Well, I love that name, Linda. That's great. How you doing? I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute.
All right.
Okay, you hear me now?
I can hear you now with that big smile on
Okay.
your face. Go ahead.
I said you and I go way back, way back. When we were doing the Les Brown and circus and all that kind of stuff. And I love, this is what I love about this, is I cannot watch you without seeing all of your product in the background. That is brilliant because I'm paying attention to who you have there and your books, etc. And that is just phenomenal. Okay. So thank
Oh,
you for
thank you.
giving that tip. My question to
Yes.
you is, because you are a writer and sell books and all of that, how important is it to have listed as a bestseller? Because my latest book I brought out, I had the choice as to whether I'm going to strategically work to make it a bestseller or if I'm just going to get the book in the hands of the people that need it. So that's my question.
Yeah, great question. I think in today's world, bestseller is worth that $1 will get you some coffee at McDonald's. Everybody says they're a bestseller. If you can qualify that bestseller, New York Times bestseller, Washington Post bestseller, Amazon, even Amazon bestseller. But to say a bestseller, now people don't pay that much attention to it. I would recommend you get the book into the hands of people who can buy the book or can book you. I'm always trying. I'm in the publishing business. I got 3 different businesses. I got a speaker business. And we got a speaker track. I got a product business. And you see my products behind me. And we are constantly, I sold 65 of these books last night. Guy came by and bought 65 of them. He's a insurance guy and financial services guy. He bought 65. And then I got a media business. So I'm focused on these 3 businesses, but I would say that in terms of saying I'm a bestseller, until I can qualify it, I've been on the Washington Post bestsellers list. If you can get a New York Times, or you can get a Wall Street Journal, or you can get a USA Today, or you can get a Washington Post, then you qualify that. Otherwise, they're a bestseller. Well, people really don't give it that much credence anymore. They used to, but not anymore, because everybody says it. You know, they get on Amazon for an hour, and it's an Amazon bestseller, and they say, I'm a best-selling author, and they got up for 1 hour. Okay, how much money did you make? How many books did you sell? When they come up, how much books did you sell? How many of them doggone books did you move? Okay, move them books. That's the bottom line. Sell them doggone books. I'm trying to sell books every day. Every day I'm trying to sell some books. All right, share, please.
You. So speaking of the book conversation, now as you watch people, do you still, or how do you feel about publisher, hybrid publishing, or self-publishing? What's
Good.
your take on that?
That's the $1 million question. Okay, good question. Should you do traditional publishing, hybrid, or self-publishing? Is that what you want to know? Yes. And the answer is which one you should do. Now, but I know which one I should do, but I don't know what you should do. That's a choice you have to make because they're different returns on each. Now, there's a guy named I need ginkgo because sometimes I forget. Yeah, y'all probably know his name. Anyway, he wrote a book called Millionaire. Anybody remember him? A young guy.
Yeah, I know
Anyway,
what you're talking about.
you
Yeah,
know who I'm
young guy.
talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, young guy. So I met him with Les and Gladys, and he had become a real millionaire like at 15, 16. He had a little business he started as a teenager, and he sold it and got $1 million. But he came up to me at that meeting and said, I want to write a book. Should I self-publish, hybrid publish, or trade publish? I said, depends. He said, on what? I said, what's your goal? Now, if your goal is to become famous, trade publish. That's your goal, that's your goal. Famous, you trade publish. If your goal is make money and not worry about fame, you self-publish. If you want a little bit of both, you hybrid publish. Now, what does that mean? When you trade publish, they will give you 10% of the royalty, 10% royalty, let's say 10% of 90%. They always take 10% off for returns, but you get 10% of 90%, so you really get 9%. Now, but their job is to get your name and your likeness into bookstores, get it on digital platforms, help you get radio, help you promote yourself. You get famous. When my first book came out, It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life, I signed with St. Martin's Press. They had my book in every bookstore from here to California, and they put them on the face out with this is a hot book. They got me on a tour. I went on a 8-city tour where they fly me from city to city. I did lots of media, and I became somewhat famous. But I didn't make much money from it. Okay. Same with the setback, set up for a comeback. Okay, they took me on a tour and all of the above. Now in my life, I have my own imprint.
Right.
So I know what to do now, but I've been doing this 20 years. So if you want to get famous, you trade publish. If you want to just get the money, because you get 90% with trade publishing. Self-publishing, you get 100%. With hybrid, you get 80, they get 20. Their job is to help you put it in the distribution channels. So it depends on your goals. That's why I say it depends on your goals. You make that call. Okay. But those are the things you must keep in mind. All right. And one more thing, be careful of some of these companies who make you these promises. We're going to market your book. Most of them I found to be lies. Oh, you pay us 30 grand, we're going to print your book, we're going to market it. Lies.
Right.
Okay. You want to get some NSA folks to recommend companies, not something you got in the email. Okay. Somebody who worked with somebody at NSA and say, what was your experience? Lori Pace, my dear sweet Lori.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful.
How's my little High Point student doing?
He is doing wonderful and looking forward to hearing you speak in what, 2 weeks from now, you'll be there speaking. So she'll be there.
Well, yes.
So excited.
Tell her I'm doing a 2 o'clock. I'm not doing the president's seminar this year. For the first
Okay.
time, they said I'm doing a 2 o'clock event, but everybody's open to come.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad
Okay.
for that. So I got the chance to see you speak with the as you singing, and it was the first time I've seen that and entertaining. Did your fee change when you added that component to, I know you don't all do sing with all of them, perhaps you do, I don't know, but did that make a difference in your ability to get booked?
It sets me apart.
Mm.
But okay, you heard me at the convocation, correct?
Correct, yes.
At High Point University.
Yes.
I didn't really say that much. I may have spoken 2 minutes, but I was there to sing.
Got it.
My fee was the same, whether I spoke or sang.
Ah,
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So brand that I was going to deliver.
okay.
And my brand is, this guy can speak, he can sing, he can inspire people, whether he does it through words or through music or through books. His goal is to inspire a generation to rise above their circumstances and maximize their God-given ability. I stay focused on that, and I just bring different delivery systems to do it.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate
Okay, you're welcome. By the way, I encourage everybody to go to wjwow.com. wjwow.com. Sign up for my 1-minute daily motivational message. It is very popular. It's free. And you get a message from me every day, Monday through Friday, in your email box. You could hear it on the radio if you're in the markets where I'm on radio, but everybody can get it, and people around the world say it helps them. And then make sure if you got XM, you listen to my interviews that I do on XM Saturdays at 4 o'clock Eastern, and the same show airs again Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. And my guest this week coming up is Steve Spankler, who is an NSA Hall of Famer. Presently, I have on, who's on this week? Bill Cates is on this week with his Hidden Heist. Last week, I had a restaurateur who is now one of the, has created $1 billion restaurant conglomerate with 14 brands. And he started with nothing. He got a great story. And then y'all want to hear, if you can, the season premiere with Les Brown was the response from that has been tremendous. One of the best interviews I've done in a long time. Anyway, that's on podcast. You can get all my interviews on podcast, the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast, which are available on all podcast platforms. Let's see, is there anything, anybody else got any question? If not, I got a couple. Yes, anything. Did you raise your hand, Alea? Okay, good. Will, that's me. Is that, no, who's this other Willie? Who's another Willie over there in the corner? Who's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I like your name, my brother.
Oh yeah, it's Willie Blue. I met you at Influence last year.
Yes,
or this year.
How are you?
Yeah.
How you doing?
All right.
Good.
I'm here in St. Charles. It's nice weather today. I'm getting ready to go out and cut the grass and stuff. I was
Great,
in the gym
great.
earlier, so yeah.
Great. Well, tell me your question.
I didn't have a question.
Good. I thought you had a question. I'm glad to see you though. If you don't have a
Oh yeah,
question,
I'm glad. I like what you were saying about the part about the money. I jumped up and told people I wanted $1,500. Well, it was my first speech, and she said, "Well, that sounds good. I could do that. Are you local?" But I'm local to it, so I could have asked for more, but I jumped out first, and that made the difference. I lost out on what I could have done for 2,000 or 5,000 or whatever. So yeah.
Hold one second.
He's a busy man.
While we are waiting,
Multitasking.
while we're waiting on Willie Jolley, I just want to make my wrap-up comments here. I'm so excited to see our leaders, Jasmine, Jason, and Lori on the call today. Just want to remind you, if you're sitting there just really thinking about how to take that next step to really contribute your gifts and talents to help our organization be better, know that I am currently scheduling calls with people to learn more about what you do and what your gifts are so that I can help you get plugged in. We have some major initiatives that we're rolling out. Actually, next week last week we had 3 leaders flying to town to do a 2-day retreat. Next week we have 2 more individuals who are responsible for all of our implementation and all of our marketing flying in town to actually work on implementing the plans that we are making. And I just want to let you know we need you. So if you're interested and ready to get plugged in, Aaliyah, I'm so excited that you answered the call and that you and I have a call scheduled, I think, tomorrow. And just put a message in the chat to let me know you're interested, and I'll reach out to you so that we can get on the phone and I can learn more about you and we can get you plugged in.
I thank y'all for your patience, folks. But my wife, when the boss comes in the room and says, "You got to talk to these folks right now," the boss runs the shop. I am a puppet. I got a little. Her hand is up my back, and on stage, and I'm just talking because of her. That's what I say. I am grateful for my wife. Let me tell you, my wife is stuck with me through every one of these ideas I have. I'm gonna leave my job and become a speaker. She was with me. I'm gonna leave the youth market, which was a big jump because we didn't know if we could make it. I didn't know if I could make it in another market, but I left in corporate market. She was with me. I'm gonna take our money and I'm gonna buy a book, or I'm gonna publish a book, or I'm gonna take this money and I'm gonna do a demo for a radio or television show. And so, very grateful that we've got a business that we're still trying to grow. I'm in heavy push mode because I still got big dreams and goals that I want to achieve that I'm far away from. Excited about this new book. I think it's going to be the biggest book I've done yet. A Setback Set Up for Comeback was a global bestseller. But I think this is going to be bigger because it really does help people to grow their wealth. And I was on Jane Atkinson's The Wealthy Speaker podcast the other day talking about the book. And I told her that this book is good for speakers because I want speakers to become wealthy, not just rich. Rich is good, but wealthy is better. And what's the difference? Rich is money you generate from what you do. By the book name is Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. You can get it at richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. It's not on Amazon yet. Rich is money generated by what you do. Wealthy is money generated by what you own while you sleep. That's the difference. And so this book is for 2 groups. First group is people who want to be wealthy and need to know how to get there. The second group is where we're getting the biggest number of sales, pre-sales. All the people who have worked hard, scraped, sacrificed, saved to create a nest egg, and they're concerned that their children will not take care of it. And their children cannot hear it from them, no matter how long they talk to them. It's like talking to a brick wall. And and almost all of these children parents have at least one child who got a job. They done paid for them to go to school. They done sent them to school. They done sacrificed to put them through college. They even might have a master's degree. Yet every month they come to the parents and say, "I'm a little short on my rent. I'm a little short on my car note." And they know one of their children is not good with money. This is the antidote. This book is the antidote. So parents I was out at lunch. The lady came up to me and said, "Dr. Jolley, I heard on the radio something about you in a book." I said, "Yeah." She said, "I want 5 right now. You got any in your car?" I still sell books out the back of my car, by the way. I said, "Of course I do. Absolutely. I got books in the car." She said, "I want 5, 1 for me and my husband and 1 for each one of my 4 children. They're not going to squander my money I worked so hard for." Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. Okay, one more thing. Now, this is my recommendation for all of y'all. Start preparing for your retirement now. You hear me? Everybody, everybody. Start socking away money, 401k, Roth, SEP, do it now. The NSA doesn't talk about this enough. They need to talk about retirement. One day you're either not going to be able to do it, or the people you dealt with for years have retired and your phone ain't ringing no more. So that's one thing. Second, I told you about taking care of your family. And then third, take care of your health. Best you can, take care of your health. That's why I was in the gym this morning. I make it a priority. Take care of your health. Okay? Because there's going to come a day when you're not able to jump on and off planes. Like I'm at a point where I can't do red eyes anymore. I physically cannot do a red eye. Now, Lethea still can do a red eye. She's young and dynamic, and she can get on a plane in LA at 11 o'clock, get up, get to Florida at 6 a.m. and go home, take a shower, and go to work. I cannot do that anymore. I cannot physically do that. If I would take one, I'd be messed up for a week. So I'm mindful of that. So there's some things I can't do. So be mindful of what you can do and your health, and make it a priority. I hope this was helpful.
Yeah.
This is very, very helpful, Dr. Jolley. We really, really, really appreciate you. And definitely, we have to have you come back another time if your schedule permits.
Well, thank y'all for having me. Blessings to you. Blessings to all of you. Have a great Thanksgiving as it comes up. Love to your families. Lethea, Kiv, Andre, and your family, my best. And I hope to see y'all all at Influence. I won't be at the winter workshop. What's the winter workshop called?
Thrive.
Thrive. I won't be at Thrive, but I will be at Influence, God willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll be at Influence. And thank you. And I appreciate you. And by the way, that's my granddaughter calling from I got to say, my granddaughter, who is a tech lady in Silicon Valley, calling me. I'm very proud of her $100,000 at 30-year-old salary. I'm proud of the girl. I got so
Absolutely.
Praise the Lord.
Great. So we do have time for one 30-second testimonial. If anyone wants to just share what was your biggest takeaway or your biggest insight that Dr. Jolley shared, we have 30 seconds available for anyone like to share that.
I'll go. Okay, I'll go and then make it 30 seconds. So Dr. Jolley, I just want to say that your enthusiasm, your knowledge, your wisdoms, your tutelage is exactly what we needed for not only today, but moving forward. So thank you.
Lori?
Thank you so much.
Lori?
I'll do it in 15. Dr. Jolley, thank you for bringing a new perspective on the speaking business, including family, health, prioritizing, and creating a legacy. These are tools that we often don't hear when we're building, but you talked about building, you talked about being in your season and at the end of your life and succession planning. So personal thank you for feeding into me, pouring into me, as well as my daughter and the next generation, and very grateful for all of it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lori.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
So next mentor that we're going to have is Frank Kitchen. So Frank Kitchen will be in December. He'll be our mentor of the month for December. So again, the first Thursday of the month, we're here. Tell another speaker to join you. And again, thank you so much, Dr. Willie Jolley. We really appreciate you. And
my
everyone have
pleasure.
a great Thanksgiving.
My pleasure. Have a great one. Blessings to everybody and do well. See y'all soon. Okay.
Take care.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Great job as usual, Jason. Thank you so much for your leadership. I greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate you and everyone else as well for your participation.
Thanks for making this happen. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Blessings to everyone.